Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, September 18, 2025. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is set to benefit from enhanced regional connectivity as Inter-Caribbean Airways continues to expand its operations and long-term planning across the Caribbean. This was revealed by Trevor Sadler, Chief Executive Officer of Inter-Caribbean Airways, during his remarks at the Tourism Stakeholders Conference on Monday. The conference focused on improving regional air connectivity, a critical issue for island nations heavily dependent on tourism and trade. Sadler said Inter-Caribbean is not only focused on increasing flights to and from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but also on promoting the country's tourism product and contributing to sustainable economic growth. Sanders said since entering the Vincentian market 5 years ago, Inter-Caribbean has made significant improvements in providing frequent and reliable connectivity, a service that has been strongly supported by the destination.
I like to say it's a happy problem when you can't find a flight for 2 or 3 days, but then it's not happy anymore because now I need to address the need for more frequency. It's fine when there are events around it. So with everything I heard today with respect to growth, it tells me we need to be looking at where is that connectivity going to come from next. I can tell you I've already been working on 2 of those points in terms of what will be new for St. Vincent, but not yet ready for prime time to put them out there. But it's our mission as a Caribbean company in making connectivity, and then based on growing that connectivity to see, okay, now which nonstop points can that connectivity support in order to increase frequency.
Despite initial challenges when the airline began operating in St. Vincent, Sadler stated that the airline has made steady progress and is now preparing to introduce a larger aircraft across its regional routes, including those serving SVG.
If you follow anything about us, you may or may not have seen we announced the purchase of 8 Embraer 170 airplanes. This is a bigger regional jet produced by Embraer, and if you've flown on a regional jet on, say, American Airlines in the US, it's that type of airplane if you're not familiar with it. What that does for us is now say, hey, St. Vincent, what more can we now do to expand our footprint? Because now this airplane will give us double the range of anything that we've had until this point. So as we grow the connectivity, but we also look towards what can we do to further connectivity into St. Vincent. Some of the things we're working on include moving into entirely new areas for the Caribbean that nobody's ever provided service for. Premature to tell you what that's all about, but it's coming.
The airline CEO also praised the fiscal environment in SVG, describing the country as having one of the most favorable tax regimes in the Caribbean for air transport. He encouraged local authorities to maintain low taxation as it plays a key role in attracting and retaining air service providers. Looking ahead, Sandler revealed that Inter-Caribbean Airways will soon be expanded into air cargo services, with St. Vincent and the Grenadines position as one of the countries that could significantly benefit from this initiative.
We begin to move into the cargo space because what I hear from Minister Camillo is a personal thing for me because I'm a country boy. so I would support to the end of the earth that St. Vincent grows everything it can, but hey, you can't necessarily grow everything when it comes to some seasonal products, but we're moving into cargo. We want to be there to support regional available products that can help to be moved here again without going to Miami. The concept of fresh from Miami when the food is already 10 days old when it gets here is not the fresh that gets me excited. So So we're about building
Inter-Caribbean Airways has been steadily increasing its footprint in the Eastern Caribbean, offering more direct flights options and helping to reduce travel times between island nations. The expansion plans are seen as a positive step for SVG's tourism development, trade, logistics, and overall economic diversification. Local creatives in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are being urged to raise their professional standards to align with the growing expectations of the tourism sector. This call comes from Rodney Small, Chief Executive Officer of the Carnival Development Corporation, the CDC, who was one of the featured speakers at the recently held National Tourism Conference. Small emphasized that artists and creative professionals must begin treating their work as a serious career, not merely a hobby, if they want to be respected and succeed in the evolving industry.
The broader conversation is now, how do we exist in this space as an industry? How do we collaborate, coming from the minister's address? How do we see each other as stakeholders who are part of this particular industry? For too long, we've been operating on the level of hobbies and not careers. With all of the opportunities that we heard listed from the Minister of Tourism and Culture, etc., and the Minister of Finance, it's time for us to put our house in order. And I'm speaking directly to the orange economy. And not only as practitioners of the orange economy, that we must put our house in order, but even where collaboration with the government entities and the private sectors, we must see the orange economy as important as any other business entity that you engage daily.
He specifically pointed to the arrival of Sandals Resorts in SVG as a wake-up call for many in the creative space, including himself. Small stressed the need for self-investment, upskilling, and staying informed about global performance trends. He noted that tourists are increasingly accustomed to high-quality entertainment and cultural experiences, and local talent must be able to deliver at that level.
Sandals in particular, Sandals Resort, just to give you an example, when they came to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a lot of us as creatives were caught off guard, because when we started to negotiate, they started asking questions about your business name, your business plan, your business model, how many persons working with you, what is this, what is that, and the majority of us were caught off guard because, again, as I mentioned, we were operating on the level of hobby and not career. Even locally, when Miss Giddens called Rodney, Rodney, I want you to perform for a particular time. Rodney shows up 7:30 for a 7 o'clock performance. Rodney shows up in a cut-off foot pants and a vest. That is reality. I mean, outside of that, we have to look at things of quality control. I mean, we have to look at things of infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, I don't only mean physical spaces. I'm talking about like e-commerce platforms and all these things, because what the ministers just mentioned about all of these hotels that are going to come into play, it must be at a point where a visitor can book any cultural practitioner just the same way you book a hotel.
Beyond individual development, Small call for structured training programs and greater collaboration between creatives, the private sector, and government agencies. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been making significant investments in tourism infrastructure in recent years, with a focus on attracting high-end visitors and improving cultural offerings as part of this growth. Officials see the creative industry as a key pillar in delivering authentic Vincentian experiences to travelers. In other local news now, we hear that Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said the construction of a tunnel through Cane Garden remains a part of his government's long-term development plans for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, particularly as it relates to the creation of a modern city in Arnoldsville. Speaking on the matter on radio earlier this week, Prime Minister Gonsalves said that while the tunnel is not an immediate priority, it is still on the cards and is considered a cost-effective solution to improve connectivity between Kingston and the proposed city development in Arnoldsville. The Prime Minister explained that the tunnel project is part of a broader vision for development. It's practical and cost-effective in the long term. He noted that planning and design work for the modern city is already underway, and the tunnel will play a critical role in improving access and traffic flow to and from Kingston.
If you have this development taking place at the Kingston port, the foreshore, the old boat. What separates both of them is a narrow strip of land, jutting out, under which you'll do a tunnel. We have done preliminary studies. We have done preliminary studies of the tunnel and also for a road coming around. And it may surprise some persons that the tunnel is cheaper, according to the preliminary studies. Johnny P, if you go up Byra, it is true that the tunnel in King Garden is longer than the one in Byra. In 1813, some European British technicians and enslaved African bodies dug that tunnel, you know. They blasted it with dynamite. They used pickaxe and shovel. In 1813, oh man, that's about 200 years ago. The technology now is so far advanced. This is a piece of cake compared.
We apologize for the quality of the audio. And Dr. Gonzalez emphasized the importance of executing the Annisville City project properly, stressing that it must be designed to benefit future generations.
You develop that in a nice touristic way. Where over King Garden Point, you have Annisville, where you're building out the city. We have two big anchor projects there from the state already. One of them is the cricket facility, the sporting facility, which would be expanded further, which I've just indicated with the netball, plus the hospital. We have something from the old Annisville, E.T. Joshua Airport, which National Properties has done there, the E.T. Joshua Center. But what we are going to be doing is to put in all the infrastructure for a city in accordance with a plan. And we have the broad plan already. We've had the fence, putting in drains, roads, telecommunication systems, sewerage, all the things. And then you lease or sell lands for developers to do business. And you build out a city. So we have a once in a lifetime opportunity to build it properly, not in a ramshackle, hodgepodge way that Kingston in some respects was built. But when you come off Cassan Hill and you look down, you must see a modern first world city.
The Prime Minister also reiterated that his government is focused on building economic-based projects that will drive social advancement in the country. Politics is about taking care of the people, not the other way around, declared the opposition New Democratic Party NDP candidate for East St. George, Lavon Gibson-Velox, during a village meeting in Brighton on Wednesday night. Gibson-Velox emphasized that the people of the constituency are looking for leadership and direction and stressed the importance of having a dedicated and accessible representative who prioritizes the needs and voices of the community. She told residents that true leadership is rooted in service and not self-interest.
Tell you what East St. George needs. It's very simple. East St. George needs a representative. We don't have one right now. We have somebody who passes through. And if you glimpse him, he may stop or he may drive straight. If he gives you his phone number, don't call, because he's not going to answer. If he tell you WhatsApp him, don't WhatsApp, because you're still not getting any answer. I got a phone call up to this morning from a lady in tears. Her house was literally demolished with the passage of burial. And she is still living in rent, and they're telling her they have extended it for 1 month. But she has not received any material to build back her house. And she has done everything possible, including pretending that she's labor.
During her address, Gibson-Velox also shared her vision for transforming Calico into an official town, noting that such a move would unlock economic potential, attract investment, and improve access to public services.
In Caliacor and in East St. George, we go from abject poverty, something you only see if you walk around. When you drive around in your SUVs with the windows up, you don't see these things. You have to be on your foot. That's how you see the poverty in East St. George. So I know it. But Caliacor has a lot of potential. And this is how we are going to prevent all that traffic congestion in Kingston by bringing a lot of businesses to Caliacor. I would like to see a revenue office opened in Caliacor. I would like to see a sub-branch of a bank in Caliacor, because there's so many restaurants and so many hotels and a lot of yachties come in there in need of banking business, and they can get it right there if they have the facilities available.
Velux also pointed to poor drainage infrastructure as a key contributor to road damage throughout the constituency, particularly during the rainy season. She argued that with proactive planning and regular maintenance, these problems can be significantly reduced.
There are businesses in Caliacor that are thriving. They do very well. But if the town itself was upgraded, then they would do a lot better, because people wouldn't come all the way into Kingston to do their shopping, and that traffic congestion situation is really a pain. One of the other problems with East St. George is the smelly drains and the overgrown drains that we have that help to destroy our roads, because when these drains are blocked and the water spills onto the road, it damages the road. We have seen how long it takes this government to fix roads in East St. George. Roads have been in a state of disrepair for the last almost 10 years. And now, because the writing is on the wall 3 months before elections, the whole constituency is in a mess where they're fixing roads every single place they can fix it.
Gibson Velux gave her commitment to putting the needs of East St. George first, pledging to work closely with residents to bring about real lasting progress. The National Council of Women, the NCW, has strongly condemned all forms of violence against women, girls, boys and men in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The statement was issued today by President of the NCW, Beverly Richards, who emphasized the urgent need for greater education in conflict resolution as a key strategy in combating violence across the society.
We were not born with that ability to hate and to hurt. Therefore, we should educate our children at a very early age. This should be done by example and in the theory that abuse or violence in any form is unacceptable and should be condemned. We can do more in our education system. We should teach our children how to de-escalate unfavorable situations. We should teach them problem solving and conflict resolution skills. It is time that we indoctrinate a culture of love, peace, and kindness in the holistic development of our children. Words do hurt, and the belief that sticks and stones may break bones, but words can never hurt is deceptive. Too many of our men and women leave this world in unfavorable circumstances because of venomous words spewed. We see hateful thoughts being acted out, and it is disturbing to see our men being gunned down mercilessly, leaving a mother, a wife, and children behind to struggle emotionally and financially. It is further disturbing when our women and girls are killed gruesomely by an intimate partner under the disguise of love. The National Council of Women strongly condemns all acts of violence against women and girls. We believe that love should be a safe place.
Citing statistics from the United Nations, Richards pointed out that nearly 1 in 3 women worldwide experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. She noted that this alarming figure suggests that almost everyone personally knows at least one woman who has been abused, and said that this harsh reality must urgently change, while commended the efforts of the government, the judicial system, and numerous non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in tackling gender-based violence. Richard said more can and must be done.
We cannot be a society that remains silent and condones violence. We must be promoters of change. This is a human rights issue. It is the responsibility of all. We must find ways to eliminate this scourge which continues to plague our society. With the availability of new technology, there is a growing concern with revenge porn, sextortation, and non-consensual intimate image abuse. Technology must not be used to propagate abuse. It must be used to champion change. We demand respect, decency, and support for our women and girls. We must ensure that those who are sworn to protect us honor their responsibilities. Our institutions, which were designed for the social well-being, must work for us women. Reported matters should not be trivialized, as this could cause victims to feel that the support system have failed them. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are faced with the burden of violence and rising crimes. They are driving a dangerous and unstable society. Health and economics is relevant for a better society. However, we need to be safe and to be free from fear. We need protection of our human rights and the right to a holistic development. By strengthening our value systems, aligning policies, and empowering our people, we can build a stronger, violence-free society that secures a safer future for all.
The National Council of Women continues to advocate for comprehensive policy action support services for survivors and community-based programs aimed at prevention and awareness. Criminals are getting younger, according to Chief Prison Officer Saville Rodriguez, who expressed serious concern about the trend during WFM's Cop Chat program this morning, discussing the topic understanding the role and impact of the SVG prison service. Rodriguez described it as a troubling and disappointing reality that increasing numbers of young people many still in their teens are ending up behind bars when they should be focusing on education, careers, and building productive futures. He called on families, communities, schools, and institutions to take a more active role in steering youths away from criminal activity.
Many of our criminals, quote-unquote criminals, are getting younger and younger. If you take a walk through the prison and you see the amount of 18, 19, 20, 21, people in the early mid-20s, 30 at the highest, you will see that we have a serious problem in our society, and a lot of the persons who should be productive members of our society are wasting their lives away right behind bars in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's very, very heartbreaking when we see. When I was a child, when you hear about, you say jail, man, it was big men. You know, you cannot picture a 17 or 18-year-old going to prison. Now they make up a serious percentage of the population, sadly.
Joining the conversation, Senior Prison Officer Geraldo Durant echoed Rodriguez's concerns, noting that high rate of recidivism among young offenders. He stressed that many youths who enter the prison system return as repeat offenders, highlighted the urgent need for stronger intervention and support systems.
It's never a good feeling to see a young person come into prison. Sometimes we as officer, although we have a mandate to secure, we have to be able to sometimes, I don't want to use this word loosely, discretion, but we have to enter into the situation at times. We would try our best to understand the situation and see how best we could assist that young person. With somebody who continuously comes, it's a frustrating feeling because, as officers, you will make efforts to try and curb that habit. But for some reason, we still find persons still repeating into the system.
Rodriguez also lamented that many young people fail to take life seriously until it's too late. He explained that once they enter the criminal justice system, the stigma of a criminal record makes it difficult for them to reintegrate into society.
Back in the day, coming to prisons used to be something of a, like, you were treated like a leper when you left, right? Which is not a good thing. Now, criminality is being glorified.
It's a badge of honor.
Exactly, exactly. But in the same breath, that's why I said a double-edged sword. Too many times, persons would have left the institution with a skill that they would not have had when they entered. And we would do our best to inculcate some skills in them. And they would leave. And sadly, some of them would find employment, gainful employment, but because of the stigma that goes along with maybe for example, you're running say a supermarket and you employ a gentleman in his 20s and you get to find out by someone coming and whispering to you he was in jail for theft. You would not feel comfortable as a proprietor of a business, knowing that you have someone in your employ who has done time for theft. But at the same time, everyone deserves a chance to redeem themselves. And we're not giving these people a fair shot at it.
Both officers agreed that a national approach is needed to address the rising trend of youth crime with a stronger focus on rehabilitation, mentorship, education, and opportunity creation. More than 30 students from Canawan have completed the first edition of the Canawan Eco Quest Summer Program, a week-long initiative designed to spark awareness and build skills in environmental education, climate-smart agriculture, and biodiversity conservation. The program was a joint effort between the Canawan Group, which brings together Canawan Estate Resort Villas, Mandarin Oriental Canawan, and Soho Beach House Canawan, along with the Global Environmental Facility and the United Nations Development Program Ridge to Reef Project, with support from the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labour. Canawan Eco Quest began on Monday, August 11th, with a short opening ceremony and a session led by the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. Students learn about beach safety and water quality testing, then practice their skills by measuring pH levels at a local beach. On Tuesday, August 12th, the group tagged Mount Royal with the Canawan Recreation and Forestry Services Department's finishing the day with a session on disaster preparedness and mental health in partnership with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment. Wednesday's theme was the Way of Water. Students visited the desalination plants at Canawan Estate Resort Villas and Mandarin Oriental Canawan, gaining hands-on look at how the island manages fresh water responsibly. Thursday, August 14th, featured a composite workshop hosted by the Central Water and Sewage Authority and the Canawan Landscaping Department. Students built their own compost piles and later toured the Canawan landfill to learn more about waste management. That afternoon, Glenn Peel, Chief Executive Officer of the Canawan Group, stopped by to commend the students and thank the Ridge to Reef Project for its partnership. The week closed on Friday, August 15th, with a creative painting session led by Sincerely Grace. Students painted the endemic hawksbill turtle, blending art with environmental appreciation. The closing ceremony included remarks from McKenna Borough Ridge to Reef Project Coordinator Gabriel Frederick, Director of Talent Management and Development, and Terry Oliver, Principal of the Canawan Secondary School. Part of the national movement, Canawan Eco Quest formed part of the Ridge to Reef Summer Youth Engagement Program 2025, a national initiative that reached around 150 young people across across St. Vincent and the Grenadines with training in conservation, climate awareness, and leadership.